knowledge of good and evil, which the Kabbalists will say is the tree of life, which we can see has a woman superimposed in front of it, which we already saw had a serpent weaved inside of it normally. So the woman then must be a symbol for the serpent. But take a look at the headdress. Notice the high priestess has this headdress that looks like horns, and it looks almost like a sun or something's in the center of it. Let's take a look in the Wikipedia at Isis. Isis was also depicted as a serpent. So Isis was the one that had the horns on her head, and she had the wings and the sun in the center, and she's also depicted as a serpent. Are you starting to figure out now what the Shekinah is? The Shekinah, if you're familiar with Eastern mysticism, is the Kundalini serpent. So when all these people sit down and meditate and they do Kundalini yoga, which is becoming very popular in North America, they're trying to rise an energetic force up their spinal cord. Kundalini yoga is about the Kundalini energy. And the Kundalini energy is like a serpent that's supposed to be in the base of the spine. They are depicting a serpent energy as they're depicting an energy, a spiritual force, as a serpent that crawls up the spine. And I told you that your brain sends messages back and forth to different parts of your body through your spinal cord, through your nervous system, using electrical impulses. So when you're looking at this serpent symbolism, we're not talking about an actual serpent here. We're talking about a force, just like electricity, that travels through the body. Isis and Osiris, her husband, were both depicted as serpents. So look at how interesting that is. The tree of knowledge of good and evil, or the Kabbalah, or the thing that we saw inside of the Osirian temple, both Osiris and his wife were depicted as a serpent. And you think that this tree of life is the tree of life. This is that question, the million-dollar question. Do you accept what God said about the tree of life in the Bible, or do you believe there's another way to it? Because we can see that the people that are following this god of the underworld, Osiris, they think that the tree of life is accessible today. But the Bible says, no, you must overcome sin first. Revelation 12:9, and the great dragon was thrown down, that ancient serpent who was called the devil and Satan, the deceiver of the whole world. He was thrown down to earth, and his angels were thrown down with him. Notice here the great dragon, the serpent, the devil and Satan. What do we see here in this picture? So tree of knowledge or tree of life? Which of the two is it? Clearly they have the tree of knowledge of good and evil. They're promoting it in media. And most people, they're not going to respond to it. They won't even notice it. But your children might. Your children watch their favorite celebrity. Maybe they like Ariana Grande. Maybe they were big Star Trek fans. And they're like, wow, where did he get this idea of the Vulcan symbol? Well, the Vulcan symbol is the symbol for the Shekinah. What's the Shekinah? Oh, it's the feminine aspect of God. There's no feminine aspect of God in the Bible. So who is it then? Well, take a look on Isis's head, the serpent. Do you see the horns on top of her head? Who do you think Isis is? Isis is the devil. So do you take the tree of life presented by Isis and how you reach it? Or do you take the tree of life that God told you in the Bible, you follow Christ, you overcome sin? These celebrities think they can cheat their way to heaven. If the serpent didn't deceive the whole world, while would the tree of knowledge be called the tree of life as our flag? Take a look what it says here. It says, the deceiver of the whole world, the ancient serpent, the devil and Satan, the deceiver of the whole world. If we have the tree of knowledge of good and evil as the flag of Earth, the flag that they were bringing to Mars, does that not sound to some degree like the whole world is deceived? It became the world flag. Obviously, most people didn't notice, but that's beside the point. The Egyptian Ankh on the far left. So you might have seen this imagery in Egypt in the hieroglyphics. Isis actually had this in her hand in a lot of these different hieroglyphs. Notice how the points of the Kabbalah overlap with the Egyptian Ankh. So then in Egypt, if you wanted to depict this, you could use this symbol